My name is Sam and welcome to my home office / streaming setup tour. For as long as I can remember, dream desk setups and office tours have been on the top of my list for my favourite videos to watch on YouTube. Fascinated by the different looks, marvelling in them and hoping one day that could be me. Well, here we are. In the middle of 2021, I bought my own flat and I finally had a space where I could build my dream setup. This space would act as an office for my day job at a tech firm, my content space for the videos I produce on TikTok, and finally a gaming / streaming setup for my live streams on Twitch. Now before we get into the video, I would just like to ask one favour, and that's to help with the YouTube algorithm. This is the first video on this new channel, so if you like what you see, a like and subscription would go a very long way. Now to start off this video, let's talk about the pillars of this setup, the desks themselves. In my office, I actually have two desks. One for my day job and the second for my content / gaming. One side of the room is for productivity and serious working, and the other side is for creativity. So starting with the productive side, we have an EC1 height adjustable desk from FlexiSpot. I got this in their white frame with a mahogany top, which is actually wrapped in white vinyl. Now it's been about a year since I did this, so it definitely doesn't look as pristine as it once did. This desk would typically set someone back £300, but fortunately for me, it was actually sent out by FlexiSpot for some videos I produced on TikTok. In terms of height adjustable desks, this one is pretty standard. It doesn't allow for any presets, it's simply two buttons, one for up, one for down. Now moving on to the creative space of the room with a fairly typical IKEA desk combo. White Alex drawers holding up an IKEA Carby. The Carby comes in two sizes, but not to dwarf the room entirely, I opted for the 186cm version and I just about managed to make everything fit. The Carby top that I have is in the walnut finish, and if you ask me, I think the walnut colour perfectly matches the black aesthetic that I've got going on top of the desk. Now with work, content and streaming, we need some absolute engines to power it all. Yes, I'm talking about PCs. Starting with the content side, we actually have two PCs. One being my gaming PC and the other for streaming. Both PCs I built myself, with my gaming PC being my pride and joy. Recently I underwent some serious redesign purely for aesthetics, where we swapped its case and added all of these RGB fans. If you follow me on TikTok, you can go check out the series. Now in terms of specs for this beautiful machine, we have a Ryzen 7 5800X, RTX 3070 and 32GB of DDR4 3600MHz RAM. This PC, whilst it could be spec'd higher, it does everything I need for gaming and editing. Now my stream PC is also something I built through a series on TikTok, and realistically it is very unnecessary. It has a Ryzen 7 3800X, GTX 1650 Super and 16GB of DDR4 3600MHz RAM. Its primary function is to do all my stream encoding and store my file. Now that sounds ridiculous, and that's because it is. If you're a streamer, you don't really need two PCs. I simply have a second PC for stream resiliency, and also through TikTok, brand sent me enough parts for me to build this machine. Heading back over to the productive side of my setup, the laptop that I use for work is nowhere near as fun as the PCs that I have on the creative side. i7, 16GB of RAM and at least 3 years old and falling apart. I wish my company used MacBooks and I can make this look prettier, but pretty much 90% of offices use Dells and that's what I've got. Sticking with the PC theme, let's talk monitors. Now in this space we have 4 monitors in total, 3 on the creative side of the room and 1 at my work setup. Just to be a little tease, we're going to talk about the work setup first. So in theory you could say that I have a dual monitor setup here. I have a laptop on a stand which acts as a secondary monitor to my 27-inch Hans G. This is a monitor I actually bought 8 years ago. With all the new and cool tech in this room, that actually sounds pretty ridiculous to say, but the reality is I don't need to upgrade it. I think it'd be cool to have a 4K ultra-wide monitor on this side of the room, but that's more a want for aesthetics than an actual need. Now that sounded kind of sensible, but that's definitely not the vibe that we have on the creative side of the room. Here we have a triple monitor setup, 1 horizontal and 2 vertical, and both of my PCs feed into all 3. The vertical monitor is primarily to read chat while streaming and to review final edits of my TikToks. It's just the 24-inch 75Hz monitor from Philips that I picked up of Amazon. The 2 horizontal monitors are both from MSI. They're 27 inches, 144Hz and have an IPS panel. The reason I have 2 of the exact same monitor is simply for symmetry, because I thought it would look better. When I'm streaming, I game on my left monitor where the 144Hz comes in handy, and on the right monitor I have an OBS open to monitor my stream. I feel like now is the perfect time to say, if you're interested in any of the products that I'm going to talk about today, they'll all be linked in the description. Now let's talk keyboard and mouse combos. In my creative space, we have a Razer Mamba Elite alongside a KBD 67 Lite in the translucent colorway. The mouse is something I've had for a while and do want to upgrade at some point, so let's just skip over it. The keyboard, however, is something I really love. Gateron ink black switches looped with Crytox 205 grade 0 and white on black GMK keycaps. This is a thing of beauty and I absolutely love typing on it. I always used to think that your keyboard didn't matter, but then as soon as I built my first custom, well, I could never go back. Now this keyboard and mouse combo is sitting on top of an Archie Designs desk pad, the Midnight Koi. Unfortunately, these are currently out of stock till April, but as it's a beautiful design, I'll leave the link in the description so you can join the mailing list. Now over on the productivity setup, we have a similar theme. A mouse that I simply don't care about, a beautiful Archie Designs desk pad, and a custom keyboard. Over here we have a Tokyo 60 with shrimp switches and blue Samurai GMK keycaps. I can't explain why I haven't upgraded either of the mice yet, but I'll probably get a G Pro Superlight and an MX Master. Now let's talk audio setup, which is something that's very important for creating content and streaming. For the work side, I don't do anything other than join Zoom calls, so I have a generic USB mic and some earbuds. But on the creative side, I use a Rode Pod mic, a Go XLR Mini, and DT990 Pros. This is an audio setup that's great for streamers. The Pod mic doesn't break the bank, has a beautiful design, and is dynamic, which is perfect for a room with no audio treatment. The Go XLR allows me to have complete control over my stream audio. The individual faders allow me to control all of my audio sources, meaning that I can continuously change how my stream sounds depending on what I'm doing. Finally, the DT990 Pros are studio headphones which offer great audio and are very comfortable, which is very important for me because I'm at that desk quite a lot, especially in gaming and streaming sessions. Speaking of gaming and streaming, let's talk about my other desk accessories. We have the Sony a7C, a Stream Deck, my Nintendo Switch, and also a custom Battle Beaver controller. I think it's pretty obvious what all of these do, but I'll quickly run them down because they're all essential to my streaming setup. The ACNC is my baby and stream camera. It connects directly to the stream PC via HDMI to the HD60 Pro. My Stream Deck acts as a hotkey device to speed up my streaming workflow, and my Switch and controller are, well, so I can game. My Battle Beaver controller is actually a custom controller specifically made for FPS games, but I think we're going to make a separate video on that. Now we've pretty much covered most of this space, but let's talk about lighting. Through the lighting setup in this room can have many different personalities. There's the streamer personality, which has my Godox ES45, which acts as my key light, and then Nanoleaf and Govee products acting as my accent lighting. We then have the desk aesthetic personality, which is Govee flow bars on the back of my monitors and a Govee strip light on the back of my desk. And then finally you have the creator aesthetic, which you see now, where I have a Godox SL60W, which acts as my key light for videos like this, but most of the time it sits in the corner of the room, so I don't have to continuously set it up and set it down. Finally, let's look at the additional things and decorations that tie this space together. The main prints that I have to the left of my desk are two prints from a digital artist called Tom Nost that I follow on Instagram. I've been following him for about 2 years now since the start of the pandemic, and I thought I would show my support because he's someone that I really enjoy his work, that I buy some of his prints and put them up in the office. To the right of those prints, we have the classic IKEA lac shelves, which I mainly added so the top of the walls didn't look so blank. On the top shelf, we have some Star Wars prints, and on the bottom, we have some camera lenses, books, and of course, some keyboards. Now moving away from the creative desk to the other bits that I have around the room. The first thing that you'll see is a fake bamboo plant. And I know people get hung up about fake plants. I do have some real plants in my flat, but I thought for the office space, for ease of cleaning, it'd be best to get a fake plant to start with. Alongside the fake plant, we have some musical instruments and a pegboard with some keyboard, which really show my hobbies and interests outside of streaming and content. There really isn't too much to say about them. I've been playing guitar and keyboard all of my life, and whilst I don't have enough time to play them a lot now, I like having them in the space because they show off my personality, and if I ever do get a spare 5 minutes, I can pick them up and have a play. And with that, I think my office tour / streaming setup is complete, as is the first video on this channel. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and dropping it a like. It would really help for the growth of this channel. And if you have any feedback at all, whether it be the video itself or my office and the way I've designed it, please let me know in the comments. I really don't mind, and I'm really looking to hear more about what else I could do / should do to kind of better this space and also better my video production quality. Apart from that, I think we're good to close this one out. I really do appreciate you taking the time to get all the way to this part at the end of the video. I hope to see you next time.